Welcome to the Equipped Disciple channel. My name is Rick McClatchy. I will be your host. We are here to be and to make disciples of Jesus, and we do that through daily devos, through Sunday sermons, and through other discipleship resources. We are here to equip you to be an equipped disciple. To another day of your daily devos. I'm Pastor Rick, and I'm doing a little take two here, folks, because I recorded it one whole time with no audio. Had the wrong microphone selected. That's a good time had by all. So I'd like you to comment, "It's okay, Rick, we understand," in the comments. That'd be great. Just make me feel better about my little mistakes. We're in Genesis chapter 46 today. Jacob united with Joseph. Great part of the story. So Israel, Jacob set out with all that he had and came to Beersheba, and he offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. That night, God spoke to Israel in a vision. "Jacob, Jacob," he said, and Jacob replied, "Here I am." And God said, "I'm God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for I will make you into a great nation here. I will go down with you to Egypt. I will also bring you back, and Joseph will close your eyes when you die." And Jacob left Beersheba. The sons of Israel took their father Jacob in the wagons Pharaoh had sent to carry him, along with their dependents and their wives. And so, there had been a number of times where Isaac and Abraham had opportunity to go down to Egypt, and that these stories got shared, and God had just constantly told them, "Don't go to Egypt, don't go to Egypt. Stay where I've put you. Stay where I've put you." So I think Israel probably had some level of conflict here in his mind and his heart on whether he should be going to Egypt, because he's in Canaan, he's in the land where he's supposed to be. And so now it's like, but this feels like a compromise, yet there's this ridiculously crazy famine going on. And so it doesn't really feel like he necessarily probably has a lot of choices. However, and then of course he wants to go see Joseph for sure. But whether he's supposed to completely uproot and move, that's a whole nother story. And so for God to come in and just make it clear, like, "I'm with you, I got you, I'm going to take you there, I'm going to bring you back out, I'm going to make a great nation of you." Because, man, this is crazy how big of a family they have when they started with Abram and Sarai, that couldn't have kids at all. And then Isaac and Rebekah couldn't have kids at first, and so it's just crazy to see the faithfulness of God demonstrated in their lives. So verse 6, they also took their cattle and possessions they had acquired in the land of Canaan, and then Jacob and all of his offspring with him came to Egypt. His sons and grandsons, his daughters and granddaughters, indeed, all of his offspring, he brought with him into to Egypt. And here, we're going to kind of sort of like just scrape over the top of these. It's the lineage, all the people of Jacob. So it just says Reuben and who his kids are, and Simeon, who his kids are, and on down the line, all the way down to verse 27. "And Joseph's sons, who were born to him in Egypt, 2 persons, all those of Jacob's household who came to Egypt, 70 persons." If you want to go back and you want to read all of the individual names, you are welcome to. I can't subject myself to that public embarrassment of having to read some of these names out loud and be like, "That's how you pronounce that, Rick? Are you sure?" And so, all right. So anyways, Jacob and his people are 70 people now. And that's like, remember, like, it wasn't that many years ago. Okay, so it was a while. It was probably 40 years ago at this point that, he made his way to Laban's, and maybe a little bit more than 40 years, but made his way to Laban's with like just a stick in his hand, right? Like, he had nothing. He had nothing to his name, nothing to claim. He was just running away from his brother because his brother wanted to kill him because he stole the birthright. I mean, the whole deal, right? And so it's just him and his staff, like his walking stick. And God took him, and he was a kind of a bum, a little bit of a jerk. He's a conniver. God took him in his life with just a stick in his hand in 40 years, and he's turned him into 70 people that he has in his family. And just an incredible story of God's faithfulness, that he fulfills his promises. He is a promise-keeping God. It's pretty awesome. So it just felt like it's worth pointing that out, as we oh, why is this, another lineage in the Bible? What are we looking at these things for? And what do we do with them? And well, to me, if nothing else, obviously for their culture, it was super important where you come from and who you related to and all that good stuff. So super important. But for us, like just to pull out that simple message of God's faithfulness and his ability to fulfill his promises. Verse 28, now Jacob had sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph to prepare for his arrival at Goshen. And when they came to the land of Goshen, Joseph hitched the horses to his chariot and went up to Goshen to meet his father Israel. Joseph presented himself to him and threw his arms around him and wept for a long time. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, you get sold into slavery when you're 17. Who knows if you think you're going to see your dad again or not. But here he gets to see his dad. And when you think about Jacob certainly didn't think he was ever going to see his son again because he was told that he was dead. And so anyway, then Israel said to Joseph, I'm ready to die now because I've seen your face and you are still alive. But God's got more in store here. Like Jacob is ready to be done. Like Israel, he's ready to be done because he's like, man, I'm good now. And yet God has a whole nother layer. Joseph's got 2 sons and he's going to introduce his 2 sons to Jacob. And Jacob's going to get to see not just Joseph again, but he's going to get to see Joseph's kids. Something that Joseph never even dreamed was even remotely possible. And that's just how insanely good God is. I mean, man, he's good. Man, he's good. Somebody type in the comments, God is good. And about 5 exclamation points. Just really drive home the point. God is good. That's how he provides. And so verse 31, Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's family, I will go up and inform Pharaoh, telling him, my brothers and my father's family who were in the land of Canaan have come to me, and the men are shepherds. They also raise livestock. They have brought their flocks and herds and all they have. When Pharaoh addresses you and asks, what is your occupation? You are to say, your servants, both we and your ancestors, have raised livestock from our youth until now. Then you'll be allowed to settle in the land of Goshen, since all the shepherds are detestable to Egyptians. So Joseph knows how to be able to set up the conversation so that they are placed in Goshen, which is a really fertile, great place to raise cattle, livestock, sheep, all the things, right? So they're getting ready to be set up here for their time in Egypt, and it's going to be a minute, right? They're going to be in Egypt for 400 plus years. They don't necessarily know that right now, but that's kind of how it plays out. And I think one other point worth mentioning is as you look at the story of the Israelites and how their journey started and where it went and how it went, you realize, man, God had a plan and he was working the plan. But I don't think any of us would have drawn the plan the way God drew the plan. And yet God worked it all perfectly according to his plan. It's just that God's ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. Like, it is a crazy difference between what he thinks and how we think. So the importance of surrender is just critical. It's critical that we learn to surrender our heart to the Lord and be willing to roll with his punches, because we don't know what's coming next, but we know he is Lord over all. And so I think that's just such a important lesson for us to learn. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so when we see how good and faithful he is at keeping his promises and making things happen the way he has designed it to happen, we can trust him. We can trust him even when it doesn't make sense. Even when it doesn't make sense, we can trust him, because, life is not about the destination. So it's not about getting to Canaan or getting to Egypt. It's about knowing the God that's taking you on the journey. So the whole thing of life is not so much about the destination, but it's about the one that we're supposed to be connected to, the one that we're supposed to build relationship with. The Garden of Eden wasn't about the trees and the fruit. It was about a place. It was about a place to connect with God, where he would come down into the garden and walk with them every day and get to know them. And really more they getting to know him, because he knows everything, right? He already knows you. But the focus of the Garden of Eden wasn't the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, wasn't the tree of life. It was a place for God to meet with his people. And so that's still what's important today, is where are we meeting with God? Where are we connecting with him? And so I just encourage you today, no matter what you're in the middle of, yeah, you can totally believe that God is good and God is faithful and he's a promise keeper. But today I want you to think about what can I do today to set some time aside today to meet with God, to just get to know him, to just, hey, introduce yourself afresh, How's it going today, God? It's me again. So I hope you're just blessed today by the power of God, by the presence of God. May you be blessed by the presence of God today. Spend some time with him. Reintroduce yourself, get reacquainted with him. Maybe it's been a while, So just love on the Lord today. God bless you. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.